Welcome back to another episode of the Anatomy of the Trade. Today we're going to discuss ongoing trade in Bitcoin that I have. And with that, let's just jump right into this. So here is our current trading range as we're recording this around mid of June. We have had multiple stopping actions throughout, selling climax, automatic rally, secondary test. Let's say this is our phase A. Phase B has very interesting change of price and volume characteristics. There is less volatility in this area over the first initial phase of stopping. Volatility increases into the low, which is this higher low. And we're entering on the reversal. So the whole idea here is just to catch potential phase C low or phase B low, and play it as a rally to the upside with the understanding if the bullish action would allow us to stay in this position, and this would be phase C, then we would continue with this trade. If the price action would not allow us to stay, and let's say that we would be sensing that this is a phase B low type of rally, then we would get out of this position. And here's how this position is unfolding. So we went through this area right here with very interesting results, meaning that we actually still held on to this position. Why is that? Well, this area right here was very, very telling in terms of how the strength is showing itself around the area of the resistance. So every time we would come to the resistance, we would have some kind of sharper declines of those levels. Here we are holding, and we are increasing the duration of the time where Bitcoin is just basically staying in the area of the resistance. Why is that? Well, for two reasons. Either the selling is diminishing or there is some kind of emergence of buying at this level. I wouldn't say that there was a lot of buying at this level, but there was definitely less selling, or rather some selling, and somebody was picking up all of those orders at this level. So this was inherently bullish sign. Then we react and test, and I thought that maybe we're gonna actually go down and create another low here and then recover from there. And it's very interesting how in the time when it happens, you kind of develop different scenarios. Usually it's 2 or 3 scenarios, no more than that. And then you allow the market to do its thing, to show you exactly what it wants to do. With obviously, the stop losses that would be logical stop losses. So my stop loss at this time was right below this big bar. This is the last significant bar within the apex formation before we break out and encounter some supply. And that made a lot of sense and just wasn't touched. The price did not go through. If the price would go through, I would be out and that would be it. So that would be just like a small winning trade, but I would not allow it to go into a loss. But it worked out, and it worked out nicely, at least for now. So on the way up, I'm realizing that we're approaching this long-term resistance between 41 and 43. So I want to take some profit. So here's our first scale out. Yeah, and by the way, additional point of entry right here. But this is our first scale out at around 39.5. And I thought it was actually really good because we're increasing a little bit of the efficiency here for this trade, meaning that we are not staying in this position, let's say with that scale out size through this period. Like we went through this, we don't have to do it here necessarily that much. So as we are going through this, the stop loss is kind of at the same logical place as before. We want to find that bar that is a significant bar that is breaking out and just have the stop loss right there. It also makes sense to have the stop loss there just because of this touch of the support, and we're touching the support right now here. So if price goes through, that would probably suggest to us that again we're going to retest, lower levels. So again, I don't want to give up any profits on this trade. If it's going to take me out here, I'm out. If it's going to allow the price to go higher, that's great. I'm just going to keep raising my stop losses as we go through, specific important areas. And that's basically the trade, at least for now. So, Franz, what are your thoughts on this? And let's discuss what can be done better, just because this is still ongoing trade. So let's see if we could find, some interesting solutions to this.
Okay. Well, hello everybody, and as you were going through your analysis here, Roman, I sort of cataloged 3 observations. The first is your evolution. You're very, very advanced, but your evolution as a trader is obvious in the first thing that you said, which is, as you were going through the basing period here, is this C or is this B? And you understand that if it's C, what am I going to do? And if it's B, what am I going to do? And I think this is something that you've just recently added to your, to your kind of mindset, because we know that your tendency in the past has been to recognize the bias and to get in phase B. And now you're saying, well, it could still be B or it could be C. And either way, I know how I'm going to approach it. So that is amazing progress. And that's a result of post-trade analysis, everybody. So, kudos there. The second thing was the use of analog at at that first break of that downtrend channel that you've got going, and how you're taking the reaction there and comparing it to the previous reactions and saying, hey, I have the ability to see something different here. It looks different, it behaves different, and as a result of that, and again, very, very high level stuff, but as a result of that, you're able to, have certain conclusions that you draw about what's going to happen as we go around the corner here. And then the third thing is the use of what I would say, I would call it different possible outcomes, and thinking about, well, here we are at this particular point, and it's obviously a pivot, it's obviously a critical point. So what are the possibilities that can happen here? And you are great at this, and I try to pick up on it, assuming this skill myself, but saying, okay, well, one of 3 things: we can break down, we can continue here as a trade, or we can go forward. And if we break down, I'm going to set my stop in such a way that I'm prepared for that, and otherwise I'm just going to go with what the market's given me. So those are my initial 3 observations, and I don't know if you have anything that you'd like to add to that, Roman. It's just, I think it's great. I mean, it's a huge lesson for all of us that are aspiring to become better traders.
Oh, well, yeah, myself included into that category. Obviously, every day we want to get better. So I think that summary was great. This whole idea about allowing the market to happen. So as you go, guys, through our Anatomy of the Trade episodes, and I know that there is a little bit almost like a religious following that we have with the certain group of traders who kind of religiously watch these videos each week, and we appreciate that. Not only from the perspective of like us doing this work, and we want it, to be enjoyed by somebody who actually does the same type of work, who understands the value of it. This is a great statement. This is a great mindset to have, to allow the market to show you what it's going to do. It, it usually we create internally the resistance to that, and sometimes it's really hard to combat that type of resistance. Franz and I we were talking, before this episode, before recording this episode, about practicing, about the repetition. It's all in the repetition. It's almost like you have to mentally repeat this process so many times. So, in other words, you really have to practice or to do this in real time, but repeat this over and over and over again, and then you will get into the mindset where you truly allow the market just to do what it wants to do, and you kind of in the flow of the market. And I know it's a little bit, maybe like esoteric type of terminology and action and so on and so forth, but the more technical you become, the more mechanical you become, the more it's going to be about the mindset. And it's just so evident with trading once you start practicing more. So hopefully it helps, guys. Hopefully, you kind of like also see some mindset tricks that we're showing you here. And let's see how this trade is going to unfold. We'll definitely come back to that in our future episodes. All right. Well, with that, I think that's it for this episode. Franz, any concluding thoughts?
I just love the overlays here. I love the trend channels that you've got on the chart, and just the idea that you're going to let the market show you where the market's going to go.
Sure. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Franz. Thank you, and until the next episode.
Thanks, Roman.